Hey there, this is Reed, and I'm John Uhler's son, and I wanted to put together this video just to give my perspective about what's been going on, and mostly just to talk about my own experiences and my memories of what it was like growing up in our household. And I should mention there has been someone online who's taken one of my videos that I used to use on a different account. So just so you know, that's not my account, and people have taken that and are trying to impersonate me. So what I say in this video, these are my actual thoughts. I'm not going to respond specifically to like the specific accusations, because some of them are just out there. I just wanted to add, I am in complete disagreement with what's being put out there about my dad, and I believe this is happening because he is on the side of good and not evil, and he is making a lot of people accountable. So people are trying to find as much dirt on him as possible, and I'm proud of the work he's doing. It's tough work that not a lot of people want to do, exposing abuse. So people are trying to expose him, find dirt on him. So that's my view. And again, thank you for listening. And yeah, let's get into it. So I wrote some things down just to help me remember, just to kind of jog my memory and give me some specifics to talk about as a kid, whether it was just good memories in general or specific. I wrote down a lot of stuff to do with my dad just to show how involved he was, especially compared to a lot of dads. I would definitely say he was the most involved dad that I know.
June 21st, 2015. Dad, thanks for sending this. Good to know what's the continuing story. And happy Father's Day. I wish I was there to celebrate how amazing you are, but at least I get to see and talk to you tomorrow. Love you lots.
And I would strive to be like him as a dad myself. Yeah, I've seen some of the things and the accusations that people have been saying online about my dad, and I wanted to say personally that I am proud to be his son, and he is the most involved dad I've known.
May 3rd, 2015. Haha, you remembered Operation Exodus. I couldn't remember what we called it. Yes. So proud of how we and God, sounds funny to say I'm proud of God, pulled such an escape off. This is epic. I'm boarding a flight to Vancouver and will text Grandma and the crew when I arrive. Again, I can never thank you enough for I love you and wish you a safe trip. Sweet sleep.
Happy Thanksgiving to my favorite daughter. I stepped outside to clean out some gutters, intending to listen to a program. However, for some reason, the songs from your wedding slideshow started playing. They are downloaded onto my phone. So they brought back wonderful memories of me with you guys. And I wanted you to know how grateful I am that I was able to be your dad for those years, and how quickly they seemed to fly by. So from your dad to you on this Thanksgiving, butterfly kisses and a big hug.
Ah, thanks for the text, Dad. That's amazing and really sweet. I miss you and loved growing up as your daughter. I love you. March 19th, 2014. I just saw this. Even though it was a while ago, it's encouraging. Thanks so much, and right back at ya. I still will always firmly believe that you are the best dad ever. I still have yet to meet anyone as wonderful as you are.
It was a good childhood. Had some very good experiences. I would definitely say he was the most involved dad that I know, and I would strive to be like him as a dad myself.
After recording that heartwarming video, Reed became aware of the despicable slime campaign that had been launched against his loving and honorable dad, which was unfortunately aided and abetted by their exploitation of the words of Jon's emotionally troubled adult daughter, whom Jon recently had to hold accountable for her attempts to simply stop paying on her car loan instead of being financially responsible as any adult should be, as he had taught her by his example of the importance of integrity while she was growing up, a loan for which he personally co-signed. who recently reported that she divorced her young son's husband because he supposedly wasn't making her happy enough. having failed on so many fronts against him, including launching a campaign against his professional license by manufacturing the most bizarre of allegations in hopes of hindering his ability to professionally earn a living. So, Reed Uhler has had enough. He felt compelled to do an additional video to clear counter their lies and to set the record straight about his good and loving dad. He recorded the following a month and a half later on August 3rd, 2024.
I wanted to come on and make these videos to show that I have a very different view of my dad from what's being put on the internet about him and what he's being accused of, and being portrayed to be this horrible, abusive, and psychopathic father and husband. And there's so many accusations that he would never do. That's not his personality, that's not in his ethics. And I just wanted to clarify what I experienced as his son. So I wrote some notes down here, and I'm going to be referencing these just to help me with my thoughts. Number one, my dad, if he were to witness me being sexually abused, which he never did, and I imagine I would notice if my siblings were being sexually abused as well, because, you grow up in the same house, he would never, ever just stand around and watch me be sexually abused. That absolutely would not happen. I can guarantee that. So even though that's a hypothetical, because it did not happen, that's not who he is. That's not his character, just to stand around and watch something like that happen. So there's that. And number two is with the guns that we had in the house. I was actually very interested in guns growing up, and I almost forgot we had them growing up. I never, besides maybe one time we went to a shooting range, I really never saw the guns in the house. And I certainly did not see them being misused to abuse or threaten in the house, either to myself or to my siblings. And again, I can only speak to what I saw and witnessed, but that's something I never ever saw happen. Another accusation is that we went hungry and were missing shoes or food in the house. And again, speaking from my personal experience, I never witnessed that. I never had an experience of going hungry. I always remember having food in the house, and having food, having shoes, clothing. Never saw that as an issue growing up. Okay, if that wasn't enough, let's keep going. My dad was very involved in his family. I did not feel that he put his family behind him, whether for businesses or whatever other reason. And I didn't feel that he didn't care. He was there if I needed him, and we were his priority, and the effort he put in does show that if he wasn't working, and he did work a second job as well at teaching at Geneva College, after going to the prison and coming home in a good mood after working with some of the worst inmates, try doing that. Let's talk about stress. And he had very strong ethics and morals, and he taught us that. Both my mom and my dad taught us that, to have very strong morals. And nowadays, I have such trouble even trying to lie, because, again, growing up, it was drilled into us. And I have nothing but respect for him as a dad and a father. He put in the time and the effort for that. And then just talking about growing up in general, when I think of growing up, I don't think of an abusive household and being scared either for my life or my safety. And what I do remember is a lot of things I mentioned in my previous videos. We had a badminton court. My dad would play with us. He'd come down. We spent hours playing board games. My brother, myself, and my dad, we would play board games, same as a family. I'd play some card games and some board games with my mom as well. And for a while there, after Sundays, we'd go get donuts as a family. After church, my dad set up a fire pit in the backyard, and he set up this screen, this movie projector, and we'd have in the summertime, we'd bring the chairs out, we'd have the table and the sunshade, so we'd enjoy out there as barbecues as a family. And what else? We had these swings. My dad set up swings in the backyard, so my brother and I would spend hours on those, just swinging, listening to music. It was great. I would climb trees, so many trees as a kid. It was great. explore the woods. We would dress up as army men, play military. So it was not this abusive household just full of terror and being scared for our lives. And what else? We had some gardens, learned how to garden. Thought that was great for kids growing up, We had bows and arrows. I got this toy jet after going for stitches. My dad personally took me and let me pick out a toy. And chiropractor and dentist appointments. We went to the chiropractor all the time, like probably more than any kid I know. And so talk about if you're having to hide bruises as a kid, going to especially either a chiropractor or a dentist, they're going to see that. And I was never threatened to hide bruises or that I was going to be killed. That's a huge difference. And some other memories that I have, again, I mentioned a lot of these in my previous video, but just to emphasize how it was growing up, what I remember growing up. So I had lots of sports activities and competitions. Both my dad and my mom would take me to those. And my dad was especially involved in the competitions. He'd be running along beside me in some of my track and field and my cross-country competitions and be cheering me on. And again, just some more memories from growing up, what it was actually like as a kid growing up. We had lots of VHS tapes. We had DVDs, The Lone Ranger. Remember we had David Crockett. We had a whole bunch of DVDs we could watch and VHS tapes. We didn't have cable, which I'm glad, because I think as a kid, that just takes up a lot of unnecessary time. But we would get the cable to watch the Olympics, to watch the Rose Parade in California. And my brother and I had lots of computer games. We had Age of Empires, Zoo Tycoon, Pearl Harbor, we had Airport Tycoon, lots of computer games. Every now and then my dad would play with us as well. We did something called Typer Shark Abyss, it's a game for typing. I got really good at typing. And we would go blueberry picking. My mom would take us almost every summer. We'd go pick blueberries. We got fresh eggs, fresh milk from a farm nearby. There have been accusations that we were slaves doing chores growing up. And there was nothing unusual about the chores that we did. There was just vacuuming, cleaning the toilets, helping out around the house, cleaning the windows, lawn care, cleaning out the snow in the winter. There was nothing unusual about that. It was all just normal chores. And with my mom, I didn't feel unsafe growing up around her. She put in lots of effort for the family as well, with our health especially. She had lots of medicines and healthy supplements for us. And she took care of us as a family, and especially in terms of health. And we had lots of emergency food supplies in case something happened. And the only memories I have of sitting in a bathtub are not of sitting in ice water reciting Bible verses, but I do remember sitting in with our baby ducks that we got for pets, and let alone the other pets that we had, hamsters, fish, lots of other pets growing up. I remember during Christmas and birthdays and other certain holidays like Easter, we'd get lots of presents as a family, and we'd get the camcorder out, record people as they were opening their presents. And there's been another accusation that my mom would take money out of my account when I was working. And I never remember that happening. I'm sure I would. And also that my brother started falling behind in his schooling. To the best of my knowledge, from what I witnessed, was he, for several years there, even though I was still being homeschooling, he was attending a digital or an online school. And I never witnessed that he was falling behind in his schooling. I never got accused of contracting STDs, and our family, as are many Christian families, we were quite reserved in terms of dating and sex, so there wasn't even the risk of contracting STDs and going out and just partying and having sex. I do not remember my mom pinching my bottom when I was taking a shower or walking around, or getting barged in on when I was in the shower. What I do remember about my mom is at the breakfast table, for example, she'd read us books, read us inspiring stories or books about manners and how to respect. And as I said, in general, people online have been severely twisting the image and the perception of what my dad was like as a father and a father and a husband growing up. And it's just ridiculous, and it's so over the top. And again, I'm proud to call him my dad. I did not feel unsafe with him growing up. He was not this abusive, psychopathic father. I just wanted to clarify, again, from my personal experience, because this is making me angry now, what I'm seeing said about my dad, and he would never do so many of the things that I'm seeing under these accusations, and it's just a horrible misrepresentation of him as a person, as a dad, as a father. So to show a completely different perspective to what's being shown about my dad. So thank you for listening, and again, I hope this provides a new perspective about my dad as a person.
So anyway,
Yes.
so
Yes.
back to, I'll hand it back over to you. So in 2007, that's when you and I met. And
Yes, that's it. That's it. So for 4 years, you and I worked very, very closely together. You were not the psychological, manager as Mr. Harrington was, but you were the only PSS who would help me. I mean, you helped certainly to train. I mean, you were the trainer. You shouldn't have been the trainer. That should have been from the psychologist manager, the LPM, but that didn't happen. So you were thrust as into that role, and everybody there was quite happy to have you thrust into that role because it's, I guess it's sort of a pain to do some training. So you very, I mean, you very happily took that role on. And, I always appreciated that. I don't know where I would have been there without you. I would have just been just kind of floating and struggling along there trying to learn the job because I wasn't getting the training from anybody else except you. So I always did appreciate that, Jon.
as a matter of fact, let me ask a question. This will be floated later out of the mouths of some people, like my former business partner, Jimmy Hinton. Matthew Osborne floats this. Others have floated this. Nicole, unfortunately, my own daughter has floated this. That I'm a
Okay.
misogynist, that secretly I hate women and I like to keep them in whatever way misogynists do or disrespectful. What do you say to that? You worked closely with me. Is John
I
Euler a
did.
misogynist?
Um, Jon, you are one of the kindest, the most ethical people that I've ever known. Um, there were many misogynists at that prison, but you were not one of them. Many, many misogynists there, but you were not one of them. No, you were always, like I said, you were always ethical. Your behavior was above board. So I saw you as just being a very kind, helpful person. And even though, I mean, I witnessed over those 4 years that you and I worked together, I witnessed, um, harsh treatment of you by various staff members. And you never responded in kind. You didn't. I don't know how you maintained your civility there. I would have lost it. You don't just keep trashing people. You were trashed almost continually. And it's because I don't think that they really understood that you were truly a trained professional. You're just trying to do an authentic program, a program that would actually benefit the inmates. So, I mean, you were trying to help the recidivism, the very high recidivism that unfortunately is part of the Department of Corrections. I mean, it's almost a certainty they're going to get out and come back in again very quickly. And you were trying very, very hard to to prevent that. And a true therapeutic, a true therapist, what a true therapist would do. So you were trying very hard, very, very hard to develop a very good intensive program. And you're a Christian man, and I'm sure it's pretty evident, with your podcasts and such that you're a Christian man. So you were very, you're just trying to do the Lord's work. So you're a therapist and you're a Christian person. So, it's something that prison was not used to seeing whatsoever, even from the chaplaincy. They never saw what you were trying to do. They didn't understand it, and it threatened them, and they didn't like it. So they retaliated against you in a variety of ways. I was witness to various things that they had done to you, they'd said to you, they said behind your back. It was a mess. It was truly a mess. So how you survived in that prison system for as many years as you had is again a tribute to your tenacity and the fact you you certainly wanted to make a difference. And you saw that from nobody else in the psychology staff. And the other people, I don't know all the staff real well. I've been gone now for 13 years from the Department of Corrections, and thankfully, God has taken a lot of that memory away from me. So I'm very happy about that. But as far as you being a misogynist, absolutely not, absolutely not. I mean, again, there are many there, but you are not one of them. So no, that's an outright lie. That's a falsehood. So yeah, I'm going to rebuttal that all over the place, Jon.
Well, he was my co-founder of Church Protect, and again, he's
Wow.
one of those that
Oh,
talk about how I manipulated him.
th-
He is, matter of fact, if you're okay, just one more because he'll go on how manipulative I was.
I am wondering, for instance, whether Jimmy knows anything, well, he probably does know something, about how churches can spot not just the sexual predator, but the Jon predator. Is that possible? Is that something that churches
And you notice Jimmy doesn't stop him at this point, say that's a little over the top.
need to ask themselves? Because go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is people who are fast talkers who manipulate you into doing something for them under the guise of doing something with them, where it's this partnership. And, I talk about profiling abusers, and whether it's sexual abuse or financial abuse or domestic abuse, there are so many similarities and there's so much overlap. And it's just these personalities where people, they take control, they step in, they kind of whisk you along, they sweep you off your feet, they say all the right things at all the right times. When I first met Jon, it was like over the top praise for me.
Carolyn, have you noticed, and we'll end with that. I don't want to keep you, you've been great. Any thoughts? So that's Jimmy Hinton. Does that, so apparently according to Jimmy Hinton, because he didn't qualify or clarify, and of course, Matt, I'm a Jon Uhler predator.
yeah. Well, taking a look at who they would prefer over you, Jon, he has no credibility whatsoever in as far as I'm concerned. Again, that man's in the pulpit. That's scary. That's very scary. Again, there's no way. Again, I'm a mental health professional like you are. I've known you for a lot of years. You are not a predator of any sort. There's no such thing as a Jon predator. How dare he? How dare he speak of you like that? He doesn't know you, but he wants to shoot off his mouth. He doesn't know what he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's clueless as to what he's talking about. Don't shoot his mouth off, I guess, to sound intelligent or to reach out and harm you some way. Again, some Christian, boy, he better take a look at his soul and look at his conscience, and take a look at his heart. So who does he really serve? Is it the God of the Bible, or is it his father who is Satan? I'm just asking that, Jon. So he doesn't know you. He doesn't know you. So, and how dare he? So, I mean, he's a waste of time as far as I'm concerned, Jon. So, again, I'm sorry you're going through all this. It's pathetic and it's harsh from your own family and from these people who don't have a clue. So I'm just sorry you're going through this. This is awful for you. And as your friend, I feel hurt for you.
Carolyn, you've been great with your time. I so appreciate it. I appreciate our friendship again.
I hope I could do something to help in this, Jon. I hate to see this kind of attack on people who are innocent of wrongdoing. I hate to see this type of thing happen. So I'm happy to reach out and help, because that's what a Christian should do. They need to take the bull by the horns. They need to walk the walk instead of just talking the talk, and try to put an end to this kind of callous retaliation against somebody who's innocent. I'm just saying, Jon. They have their own perverse reasons for doing it. I have no idea what they are. I don't care about that. I'm just saying that I'm glad that they're out of your life. At least I hope they're out of your life. Once you address their stupidity and their lies and their evilness, I hope that they're out of your life for good, and you can just move on and walk past this mess they're creating for you.
and then get back to productive things.
Absolutely. And you will. That's who you are in your core. You will, John. You're driven. You're driven.
Well, Carolyn, thank you. I had anticipated us being on together on different topics. So thank you for, if this was the first, thank you for taking your time to do this.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I was happy to do it, to be honest with you. Very happy to do it. I hope it was some benefit to you and to society as a whole, because we need you out there, John. We don't need to contain you in some kind of little box where you're being hurt and you're being chastised. We need to get you out there where you can do God's kingdom, expand his kingdom. That's what we need in the end, in these end of days. So yeah, but thank you for doing what you do. And we'll be in touch soon.
There you go. Carolyn, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hey, blessings to you, my friend. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.